Do you fit neatly into that perfect little box of being an introvert? You prefer solitude and fear crowds, right? You're constantly bullied by louder, extroverted people? But that's not exactly right, is it? Although many people who enjoy reading may consider themselves as introverted, we know that no one fits neatly into black and white categories. No matter how solitary an activity may be, most people still enjoy coming together to talk about their passions with others. We've all known that ache in our heart when we finish a good book and we have no one to talk with about it. We even debate if solitary confinement is humane. Yet there is something so intriguing about the title of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's book, 100 Years of Solitude. Without knowing anything else about this work, the title alone awakens inside of us both a fear and an intrigue. The thought of being alone, deserted, or secluded for such a long time evokes post-apocalyptic vibes of Cormac McCarthy's The Road or Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. But on the other side of that coin is the romance of Daniel Boone's Frontierism or the transcendentalism of Thoreau's Walden. But at first reading, 100 Years of Solitude seems to be about none of those things. In fact, one of the most intriguing parts of the book is its absolutely enormous cast of characters. And despite praise for this book, despite how widely popular it is, I think it's also wildly misunderstood. Because I think when most people are reading it, they say to themselves,
what the is this book about? 100 Years of Solitude is really popular for a number of reasons. When you hear people talk about it, the things they always bring up are the writing style. It's minimal on dialogue, yet the story presses forward in a very easy manner despite there not being a lot of conversation in the book. It also pioneered the genre of magical realism, which blends the reality of real life with brutal events like war and violence and sex with this kind of magic and superstition or things that just aren't possible, like ghosts or people changing the size of their body in a matter of moments. But one thing I couldn't really understand was this book is so widely loved by so many people and is regarded as one of the best novels of all time. But when you really dig into what the book is about, the book has a lot of accolades for being kind of this expose on the Colombian culture and really poking fun at Colombian elites and politicians that wasted money and infrastructure, and there's a lot of Colombian history that goes into the story. Now, perhaps I'm just making a foolish assumption, but I don't think a lot of people really know Colombian history. It's something that's not really extensively taught about in U.S. schools. If you think about U.S. relations with South American countries or Latin American countries, I think the first two that probably come to mind are Cuba and Mexico. Not to say that Colombia isn't historically important, it's just not something that's really on the radar of U.S. history. So to me, that can't be the real connecting factor to this book with a lot of English-speaking or American readers. The more I thought about it, though, the more I realized that people love this book because it expresses humanity in such a perfect way. Let's leave the magic of magical realism alone. Let's leave the politics of Colombia alone for a minute. The book, you would think, is about solitude, and that's part of it, but it's really about obsession. Now, I might flirt with the edge of spoilers here, but almost every single character in the book has an obsession of some sort. Whether that was Jose Buendía Arcadio being obsessed with the gypsies, Colonel Aureliano being obsessed with fighting in the war, and later with the golden fishes, Ursula's obsession with the family, Amaranta's obsession with denying men. There's a character that's obsessed with eating and blows up to these enormous sizes of corpulence. To me, the book is about the dangers of obsession. There are family members that are obsessed with each other in the book that leads to these inappropriate and incestual relationships. And really, it's about solitude being the catalyst for those obsessions. I think 100 Years of Solitude is probably more relevant than ever for English speakers or American readers because we just saw what isolation does to people, both as individuals and as a nation. After the events of 2020, we saw record highs of depression, anxiety, mental illness. Social media use went through the roof. And if you think about it, social media is essentially the modern day version of the gypsies in 100 Years of Solitude. The gypsies come into Macondo with all these amazing wonders that they have, flying carpets and alchemy and all these different designs and tools, and they really wow people, and they wow Jose Buendía Arcadio. But of course we know alchemy is not a real thing. You can't make gold from combining other metals. On the surface, we think of all these social media platforms as this amazing way to connect with people, but they're really prosthetic relationships when you think about it. Perhaps sitting alone looking on your phone is better than just being in complete seclusion, but at the end of the day, the relationships you have with people on social media aren't going to replace real human connection. The gypsies came through Macondo with their wonders and promised that it was going to make them rich or make them happier or help them connect with the world on a deeper level, but none of that really came true. I feel the same way about social media. These companies are just selling us a product and they occupy a lot of our time, but I don't know that they really truly enhance our lives. I think that's probably one reason why I'm so against the grain of giving into the trends of social media and making quicker, faster, more disposable content. I want to make deep, creative things that help connect with people on a more meaningful level.
No matter whether you're an introvert or extrovert, everyone needs time to themselves. Everyone needs human engagement. But it's almost as if we've tried to combine the two and we're getting the best of neither. When we sit for hours alone just doom scrolling on our phone, we're not participating in that meditative solitary behavior like going for a walk in the woods. Instead, we're just recycling the same thoughts and emotions over and over and over again, especially with how social media trends work. In that way, we're not getting any of those benefits of truly being by ourselves for a time. Conversely, we might feel like we're more connected than ever, and I think most everyone would agree that it's simply not a replacement for actual relationships with people you love and care about. Ultimately, 100 Years of Solitude isn't just about solitude so much as it is about isolation, and that's really what we're doing to ourselves. We're isolating ourselves. And I think it's for that reason that it speaks so deeply to a true human emotion, regardless of country or creed, that this book has become so popular and stood the test of time. And it demonstrates to us, perhaps in the most ridiculous of ways, that we become the worst of ourselves in isolation.